take to get people in here, huh? Today we're going to be discussing what everybody thinks about this whole J6 hearings. What's going on? What are you seeing? And we're going to discuss a little bit about what it means for the future of this country and the people in it. Hello, Susie. Hello, Eric and Doris. How are you guys today? We're going to give it a few minutes here to get enough people in here before we really start the topic of the day. People are probably droned out about, you know, what they're hearing and seeing on social media and everything else about the topic. But the fact remains, who's listening to the people? I am. You are the people. I am the people. We're going to sit here and we're going to discuss everybody's opinions all the way around on all of it. And that's a better way to get a picture of what's going on in this country than it is off of what the media is painting and what the left-wing idiots in office are trying to paint. Because right now, it's 100% all about making sure one particular person never gets to run for office of any kind again. That's all it's about. Because they're scared. That's my opinion. Got a guy next to me getting a tire change. And I'm going to be rolling out here in a minute. Matter of fact, let me double check my log right quick. We got about 5 minutes. 5 minutes from now I'll be rolling. We're gonna go pick up a load and head for Seattle, Washington area. Right now we're sitting in Corinne, Utah. I share that feeling. I share that feeling. But, you know, for people in this country to sit here, no matter how they feel, and just watch what's happening, it's about time the people start discussing amongst each other. And this is a great forum for that, because we're going to get hundreds of people in here, and they're going to be all sharing their own opinions and views and what they saw, what they saw back on January 6th and what they're seeing now. Because I saw some disturbing stuff this morning. I had been trying to ignore it, you know, ignore the J6 stuff. Really hadn't had time for it or anything, but I caught a video of the opening of it from 4 days ago, and some of that video, from what I saw the day that it happened, as it happened on live feed, they've seriously edited it to show, to really paint a narrative, in my opinion. Hello, Brenda. How are you? Hi, Gail. I'm doing all right. So, let's give it 5 more minutes. You know, about the time that I start driving is when we're going to really start discussing the topic. That way everybody can get their hellos and everything out of the way, and then we can really start the discussion. Hi, Carly. Hello, Jan. Jen, I probably should have made that video and sent it out a lot earlier today, but I literally had just thought of it and put it out there real quick, hoping I could get enough play out of it before 3 o'clock. I know just a few minutes ago, 24 people had watched it. Violet. All right. Before we really kick off what's going on with today's discussion in the room, how is everybody doing? What's going on in your neighborhood? Is there any information you want to share of your local news? Or of your own personal news? Is it his birthday today? If it is, happy birthday, President Trump. Yeah, Carly, I've got to get into Nevada and vote also. I don't. First big heat wave in Michigan today. Oh boy. Y'all are wearing that hot, sticky blanket today, aren't you? Because it's usually a good 70% humidity over there around Michigan. Ooh, cervical spine surgery, Lisa. I'm sorry. Hello, good morning to you, Lisa. And I hope you have a nice, swift, fast recovery and everything heals exactly as it should. Thank you for all the pause. Yes. Happy Flag Day. Happy Flag Day. Well, if I was in the middle of a convoy, I'd have my flags out my windows and everything, but since I'm going to be hauling regular freight today, I can't have my flags out, because if I go through a Department of Transportation scale or an officer out on the road sees it, they can pull me over and violate me because it's something flapping out of the truck. After I pick up my load, worry about, I'm probably going to lay my flags out there, but for right now, it's easier for me to skate by all that first and then get going. Now, we got one more minute, I do believe, and we'll start rolling. We're good to roll. Get my sunglasses on. Put this puppy in gear. There we go. This kid wants to... This is the guy that's changing the tires on the truck that's sitting next to me. I think he's done. He's just walking out in the middle in front of me here. So, January 6th hearing committees and all this stuff going on right now. You know, today, this afternoon, I started to look into what it was all about and what they were showing. And they keep displaying these videos and the time frames, and it looks like they already knew exactly who to be looking for inside these videos, for one, and for two, those videos are so heavily edited from what actually happened, because many of us remember sitting there watching everything happen live. Okay, I remember seeing live video of officers opening the doors and waving them in. All the way around the Capitol building, right? I remember seeing that, but they're just straight up showing the people that they busted in a window. In the world did they bust in that window when it is supposed to be bomb-proof window, right? Almost every window on the Capitol building, and that's like the only window that really got busted, by the way. They're all bomb-proof. So how can you bust it in with a riot shield? That's fishy. And it's fishy that their cameras, once the people were inside, the cameras from inside the building specifically followed exactly key people inside the group. They were already trained on these people, like they already knew who these people were and where they were going to go. That's the first thing I noticed. What do y'all say to that? The other thing that I noticed is at the time that they started entering the Capitol building was the exact same moment that Ted Cruz laid that gigantic
turn right on Iowa String Road
of evidence of election fraud down on the table and was about to have it submitted. It was the exact same moment in time. People, be part of the discussion. What are your feelings on it? What do you see? What do you remember? And what are you seeing now? This is a discussion. This is a discussion between all of us, not just me. On these videos that they're displaying, some of them had the timestamp, date and timestamp in the bottom right corner. Okay. Other videos that they're showing that did not have a date and timestamp in the bottom corner, they actually put a big, right in the middle of the screen, date and
turn
time
right on Iowa String
of their
Road.
own. So maybe, you know, and that's some serious editing. How do we know that that's exactly? How do we know that footage that they're showing and the time frame that they say it was is actually the time frame that it was? How do we know that? We don't. Alright, here we go. A lot of... Okay, that's this plastic siding. That's not gonna hurt my truck.
In 2¼ miles, arrive at 5040 North 6800 West, on the right.
Oh, okay. I gotta double check something real quick. Hang on. Elder plant in the rate confirmation. But I think the only warehouse right out here is Procter & Gamble. Because they know nobody likes to carry Procter & Gamble because they're always too heavy. was prepared. They'd moved all that stuff out of the way so that people could just flood in. Not to mention, you got to remember, this building was built to withstand. This building has been refitted and built to withstand any kind of attack whatsoever, right? That being said, when those doors are closed, unless they are opened from the inside, they cannot be opened. You could drive a car into them at 80 miles an hour and they're not going to open. Houses out here, some are still being built. Cool. Now I got to figure out where the truck entrance is here. Oh, I think I see it. It's this next turn right here. Coming up. Right up.
In 1/2 mile, arrive at 5040 North 6800 West, on the right.
Send a quick text real quick. So now, that's the fun part. That's all taken care of. Everybody now is aware that I am where I'm supposed to be, on time, well ahead of time by a few. I got 20 minutes before I'm actually, or 10 minutes before I'm actually supposed to be here. So, me into the gate, because they always try this, right? They always do this. They say we're supposed to be here at X time, but then it takes us an hour to get in the gate, and then they try to tell us that we are an hour late, and that we can't get the load or we can't get unloaded because we're outside of our appointment time, or that we have to wait till the next day. Fun, right? So. Scroll back and see what everybody's saying here. Well, Violet, you are right in that. You are right in that. Yep. Special ops. Come on. Go into gear. Not only would it have taken them a lot longer to clear out, Chris, but every single person would have been fully armed to the teeth. Not one single person was armed. They're claiming that people were. They're claiming that people came in with long rifles. But from every bit of video that I have seen throughout the whole thing, I never saw anybody with any firearms whatsoever except law enforcement. And I'm sorry, but You cannot have an insurrection. There's no such thing as an insurrection without weapons, without serious modern weapons. And for that matter, how is it really an insurrection when not one single person that was in the building prior to anybody coming in was taken hostage? You know, nobody was taken hostage. And realistically, people came in peacefully, even though they came in peacefully for the most part. Sure, a couple of people were damaging things, and we all know who they were. But none of the real panic and none of the real thing about anybody getting hurt whatsoever, none of that happened until an officer reached around from behind and shot Ashley Babbitt in the neck. The second that gunshot went off, that right there, that moment is what started the mass panic everywhere, and that's what started people getting hurt because nobody wanted to get shot. That's what I saw just from watching it live as it was happening back then. Now, what they're displaying in these hearings is heavily edited, and it's geared towards painting one specific picture, and that is it. That's my personal take on what I'm seeing right now. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi could have gotten lots of extra security for that, but she did not. She did not. I mean, there's shortcomings all over. There are shortcomings all over it, and they call it a riot. They call it a riot. Now, what I saw, the moment they tried to show video of the moment an officer first called it a riot. Well, you know what happened. You had all these people lined up behind a fence line with all these officers in front of them. These people are standing hard against this fence. And then officers started spraying with bear spray. And that's when the crowd broke through that fence, and that's the moment they decided to call it a riot. If the officers had not sprayed bear spray into the crowd, maybe they would have stayed behind the fence. Don't you think? Instead of trying to get at the officers to get them to stop spraying bear spray. And at that point, the motion was forward. The Constitution grants the people the right to redress their grievances. And on this day, the nation needed the grievances redressed. It really did. So, how can you say that was done that day was against the was an insurrection or against the country or anything like that? I mean, the Constitution also gives us the ability, it grants us the legal right to go in and oversee and force what's right, a change, right? So we can go in and we can change the government by force if necessary, or by any means necessary. It clearly says that we are allowed to do that by our Constitution. So realistically, no matter what they come up with, these people that went in there that day were covered by the Constitution. Were they not? I mean, that's my personal opinion on it. What's yours? I mean, do you believe that? Yeah, there were a lot of people dressed in black. You'll go do it and see what happens? Yeah. Nice to see you behind the mirror. Thanks for doxing me all over Twitter, by the way, behind the mirror. I'm just a truck driver, and I'm a patriot, and I know my Constitution. I know what's right. Everything that's going on right now, it's not right. Yeah, well, behind the mirror, I hope you know you got most of the doxing wrong. Just so you know, you put somebody else's family in danger by trying to dox me with bad information. You're welcome. Yes, that's right. It is our right to challenge anything that we deem wrong or that we don't want as a nation. It is our right to challenge it. The fact remains, they're painting this picture that Donald Trump ordered everything. Donald Trump was part of everything. Donald Trump encouraged and incited everything. Well, maybe in some ways he did, just by being truthful and honest and being himself. There's more than enough evidence out there. I mean, seriously, a lot of these people in these voting places, the counting places, that they didn't think they were under camera, and during times that they were not supposed to be counting at all, they're sitting there running ballots that came out from under tables that were hidden there all day. You saw it. Everybody saw it. The nation saw it. The world saw it. When you go to court with all of the evidence that is, it's blatant and it's irrefutable, and a judge refuses to see it, refuses to hear the case, without even looking at any of the evidence, turns around and says, you have nothing, click, I'm not going to hear this case, that does not mean that you lost that case. That means that there was an outright refusal to even look or hear. There was no case, because they refused to hear it. And they're leaning all of this whole thing, the entire thing is geared towards one thing, and it's geared towards keeping one particular person from ever running or holding another political seat anywhere in this country ever again. That's what it is. Because right now is the time where all of the candidates coming up for the 2024 election are starting their campaigns and everything's starting to get going, right? This is another case of Trump deranged syndrome. Period. Plain and simple. I do not care which side of the fence anybody is on. The fact remains, this entire circus that they are putting on right now, and I call it a circus, that's my own opinion. The entire thing is only geared to politically assassinate, not murder, but politically assassinate a possible candidate. And by the Constitution, that's also another crime. They are literally in the throes of committing a crime right now to politically assassinate a opponent, one that they do not want. It would be, what they're doing right now would be the same. Joe Biden's going to run again, right? So that would be the same thing as Joe Biden walking up to whatever Republican candidate and shooting him, or paying somebody to go and put him out, right? That's the same thing. What they are doing right now is the same thing, in my opinion. They are politically assassinating a possible presidential candidate. And that is sedition in itself. That is treason in itself. That is high crime. Every one of them. What does everybody think about what I just said? Yeah, Chris, a select committee is supposed to have a legislative purpose. That is true. But the select committee is also supposed to have a equal amount of people on the committee from all sides of the fence. And what I'm seeing is they've got the deck stacked all on one side. There is no impartiality to this committee. None. Violet, that is, you're right along the same lines of me, the way I'm thinking about it. I mean, people, if everybody, I mean, most of you people in here probably know your Constitution, your Bill of Rights, your Declaration of Independence, all of that. But how well do you know it? I encourage every one of you to read it from cover to read them from start to finish, again and again and again, to refresh yourself. Because what you are seeing them do right now goes against everything that our Constitution provides. That's right, the Republicans voted not to investigate. And the reason the Republicans voted not to investigate is because there is nothing to investigate. Not the way that they wanted it investigated. Okay? The things that they tried to investigate and the Republicans said no to, most of that was well outside the purview pertaining to everything that happened on January 6th. Basically, the Democrat side or the liberal side was on a witch hunt for anything and everything that happened throughout the entirety of Trump's presidency, all the way up to January 6th, so that they could try to paint this picture that our president literally ordered all of this stuff to happen. Never once did I hear Trump come out and say anything about getting people to go and do this, let alone I never once saw anybody with any weapons of any kind except the law enforcement that was there. No. Well, see, here's the problem. Here's another thing that they are lying to everybody. Every single person talking about what's going to happen to these people when they are convicted is lying to you. Everybody. When it comes to sedition and treason, if they are found guilty of either of those, there is only one punishment for those crimes, and that is death. And the only form of death that is granted by law for those two crimes is public hanging. So when they sit there and they tell you these people are going to be in prison for the rest of their lives, they're lying to you. Because the only punishment on the books legally, which, by the way, ever since the day that those laws were put in place for those two particular crimes, This has never changed. It has never been updated. It's never been altered in any way, shape, or form. The only punishment for sedition or treason against your government and your people is death by public hanging. Go ahead and look it up. The entirety of media out there, and every single one of those politicians and everybody else that opens their mouth about what's going to happen to these people if they're convicted, they're all lying to you. The rest of their lives, they are going to be executed by public hanging, because it's the only punishment on the books for those crimes. And I'm sorry, but you cannot possibly have any kind of insurrection whatsoever without fully armed people that were going in. Period. And there were no armed people that I saw. Nobody in there had any guns or rifles of any kind except the officers. What I want to know is, they're bringing out all of these witnesses, and they're bringing out all of this video that is heavily edited, okay? They're bringing all of this forward. Well, who's going to present the other side and bring in the rest of the stuff that they edited it out? When are we going to start seeing? When are we going to start seeing an actual defense? Because up to right now, I have not seen I haven't seen anything come up where they were coming up with some kind of defense or any evidence whatsoever that blows anything that they've heavily edited and shown out of the water. Or are those people just not being allowed in because, well, we have to paint this picture? I mean, don't forget, this is an election year. This is the circus that they want to show everybody to try to make people vote the other way. This is an election year, and this is all about, every bit of this is about this upcoming election. Every bit of it. That's right. So far, I've seen everything 100% one-sided. Oh, my turn. Shush, y'all be quiet. I gotta talk to this gate people. Popcorn for everybody. Oh, they got lots of dominoes up in there. Alright, we are here to in the gray box. Alright. Tractor 13. 13. It's right there on the hood. That's also my tribute to the 13 Afghanistan soldiers that our president left and killed in Afghanistan. Yep. Yeah, it would. I think I got it all filled out.
Door 3.
Door 3. All right. Thank you very much. Here we go. I gotta find door 3, and then I gotta get out, get my back doors open and back in. Well, door 3 is right up front. Oh, gonna love this one. That's nice and easy. I'm gonna go all the way down and around and back, so I can set it up to straight back or in. No, that wasn't too bad. That's not too bad of a check-in. I've been places where it takes them almost an hour to check you in, let alone you're sitting in line behind 30 other trucks all trying to get in at the same time, and it takes almost an hour to get just to get to the gate, let alone, you know, anything else. At least Procter & Gamble does everything right through their guard shack. There's other places you come up to the guard shack, you finally get there, you finally get checked in at the guard shack, then once you're inside, you have to go stand in line to get checked in at the shipping office behind everybody else that was already ahead of you. So, yeah, this wasn't bad. I've seen a lot worse. Uh-oh, Swift is in the dock. Swift is in the dock. Oh no. Oh, night transportation too. I know the tractors aren't attached to them, but I'm still scared. Somebody come save me. I'm kidding, people. I'm kidding. So, everything that I've seen in this whole J6 thing, it's all one-sided. They're only going to paint one picture, and they're using it as a banner. They're waving around. We are the right side. We're the only ones that you can vote for. Blah 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 blah. And they are literally politically assassinating a possible candidate, which, according to the Constitution, is an outright crime in itself. Back payment for those ones. backwards. There we go, got into gear. Tell you what, this automatic transmission, I love it because I'm not limping at the end of every day anymore, because my old truck had a transmission in it that was, the clutch was had 2 springs on it, and it wasn't hydraulic assist or anything like that, you know. So there was that. At the end of every day I was limping everywhere I went, but now that I've had this truck, which has an automatic transmission in it for quite some time, I'm not limping at the end of every day anymore. So I'm no longer in that kind of pain anymore. I'm gonna step out, get the doors open, and get set up to be backed up into the dock here. All right, I'll be right back. Y'all can continue the discussion while I'm gone with each other. Okie dokie. Let's finish packing this puppy into the dock, huh? There we go. All right, here we go. Always got to double check that right before you hit the wall, because if one of those doors got undetached from its lock that keeps it held open, it could swing shut or swing half shut and impact with the wall and rip the door right off the trailer. That's never a good thing. All right. All right, welcome back, everybody. We are in a dock now. We're good to go. Now, when they get ready to tell me that I'm good to go, they're going to call me most likely, which will most likely kill my live stream. So, in the event that that happens, we will go live again right afterwards. If you are on the Twitch side, all you have to do is just sit there and wait. If you're on the YouTube side, you're gonna have to wait for the notification or keep searching and try to find that new live that just went up. But if you're over on my Twitch side, all you have to do is just sit there and wait, because it'll come right back up as soon as I reboot it. So, now I'm gonna ask the group, has there been anything today that I have said that did not make sense, or was not true, or did not fit anything that is given by the Constitution? I want your feedback on that. How do you feel? What did you hear from me? What's next? Well, they're still in the process of destroying the entire freight industry, which means if we go up, say, another 50 cents to $1 per gallon, if we go up that much more, there won't be a single semi-truck in this country that can run at all, because the fuel cost will be so far above what we would actually make on the loads that we would be paying. Like right now, a lot of times I have to take a load here and there where it costs me more money to take that load than I make on the load. A little bit more in fuel price, and every load will cost me more than I'm making, which will put every single truck out of business in this country. Which means no supplies whatsoever will go to any store. Your store shelves, all kinds of stores, doesn't matter what kind, they will all go empty. Because everybody will be in there, they'll buy everything out, and next thing you know, we don't have any stores anymore. And we're literally not far away from that day happening. And it's not that the truckers are going to go on strike, it's the fact that if we can't make money to do this, to make sure that these stores have what they need so that you have what you need, if we aren't getting paid, there's no point. Most of us aren't even in a position where we can afford to lose money on a load. So it's not going to be the truckers' fault, and it's not going to be truckers going on strike. It's going to be the gas prices got so high we could no longer afford to run. And if you don't think that all of these things combined, everything that's happening right now, including these hearings on the J6, if you don't think all of that, if you don't think every bit of everything going on right now is not all tied to one agenda and one main idea of holding a locked grip on the people of this country or even the people of this world, because this whole thing is not just happening here, it's happening worldwide, all at the same time. How do we fix it? How do we fix it? Is there a way that we can get any kind of legal representation inside the floor of that committee hearing? Any way? Does anybody know of a way? Or can anybody Google up and find anything that gives the people the right to have some kind of representation inside those hearings? See, that's the thing. President Trump shined the light on a whole lot of stuff going on in this country, but he also shined a light on everything going on around the world, in every country. Now, personally, I've said it before, and I will say it again, no matter how many times I need to, or if somebody asks, I do not like Trump. As a person, I don't. I find him extremely arrogant. The thing is, as a president, I respect him. I respect him as a president, but as a person, I don't like him. And you don't have to like the person that becomes the president. You just have to trust that that person is going to do what they said they're going to do. You have to trust that that person is going to have the best interest of this country at heart in everything they do. And that is exactly why I voted for Trump in the first place. Both times. Because he took us out of debt. He made us energy self-sufficient. Our fuel prices were still in the middle of dropping when Biden turned around and signed away all of our energy. Closed it all down. Closed down the pipelines and the drilling and and the refineries and everything, and forced us to have to buy our oil from, guess where? Oh my, Russia. So when push comes to shove, all this time they said Russia, 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 and pointing the finger at President Trump. Well, who was really in bed with Russia? Was it the guy that kept Russia out of everything, President Trump? Or was it President Biden, who signed away everything we had and forced us to have to buy it all back from Russia? So who was really in bed with Russia? This is why they don't want Trump to run again for anything, because he showed the world where all the evil was. He made so much change, and he made things so much better for the people of this country, which cut deeply into the pockets of the politicians of this country. This is why we have this kangaroo court right now. This is why that court is severely stacked all on one side. And this is why you're seeing evidence and testimonies that are severely stacked all on one side, especially evidence that has been extremely, extremely edited. How does that make you feel? And what, if anything, do you think we as the American people can even do about it? Hello, Shannon. Hello, BMCT. Mobo, nice to see you. Hey, Mobo, I just realized today I was going through my Getter, and I realized that you were a follower, and I went and gave you a follow back there on Getter. Right? There were a lot of factories under Trump that reopened. There were a lot of new business and manufacturing that came back and came into the U.S. that Trump brought back. And now, thanks to Biden, within his first few days in office and a couple of strokes of a pen, almost all of it was thrown away. And even at that, it was all of it plus some. And he's continuing with it. He's still killing jobs in this country. He's still killing jobs. He's still killing manufacturing. And the first part of these shortages, when they started claiming, oh no more baby formula for people, no more of this, no more of that, baby formula being the big one. Well, you see what I do for a living. I am in and out of all kinds of warehouses and all the ports in this country all the time. And I can sit here and I can tell you, you take a look at all these trailers sitting here. Every one of them is sitting here loaded with product. Every one of them. They're just waiting to be dispatched out, put on a truck, and shipped across the country right now. Yes, it's Procter & Gamble, so it could be any number of things that's in these trailers. Anything. From your shampoo to your soap to your vitamins. You know, all kinds of stuff, even your toilet paper, your dog food, pet food, everything, right? These are all sitting here, and if you look, I'm going to take you out and I'm going to show. If you look, keep in mind that's 1, 2, 3 rows, right? 3 rows worth. Look at that. Every one of those is loaded, for the most part. There may be some of them that are empty waiting to be loaded, but in reality, the majority of them are sitting here loaded waiting to go. And they've been that way the entire time. throughout this whole pandemic crap. Whoever that is, bye-bye. Wow. This is not blockable, powered by AI. Who the hell is this? This is not right. You see, this is what's wrong in this country right now. You've got somebody that decides it's going to be funny to, block the conversation. How in the world do you ever expect anybody in this country to come together and find a solution for the problems of this country together when you're walking in here in places like this and silencing everybody? What you are doing is censorship, which is illegal. It is against the U.S. Constitution. What you are doing is being a criminal. Why can't you, instead of throwing this up there in my chat room, or in the chat in my live stream, instead of throwing that up there, why can't you personally come in here and actually have a real conversation? This right here, what you're doing, is what's wrong. You can't even have an intelligent conversation with anybody. Hey, silly. If you're in there on the Twitch side, I need you in here on the YouTube side. Wow. Yeah, we got to keep out chatting them, right? Well, you all have chats just like I do right now, and that's what I'm doing right now. So, Samantha, well, it's not hideable. Eric, you're blocked. Yep, I've blocked them too, but they keep coming back in. That just goes to show you how badly they don't want anybody in this country to see what's really going on. That shows you how badly they want the people of this country to side with them and only them, and vote for only them, while they sit there and rip every single penny and ounce of sweat and blood and tears out of us. That's what they're doing. That is what they want. I did block them several times. I think I finally got them for now, because they're not in there right this minute. I think I finally got them here for a minute. But I'm telling you, that was crazy. And you know what? Here's the real funny part about it. That kind of stuff only happens in any one of our live streams. I have lots of friends who we're all live streaming, every one of us. That kind of stuff happens in our live streams whenever behind the enemy, or behind the mirror, or behind the mirror number 2 is in the chat. Every time. And it only happens when they're in the chat. Go figure. And they're the same people that turned around and doxed every single trucker and every single person that was with the People's Convoy. Literally doxed them out, gave out their names, their home addresses, where they work, where they live, you know, and gave out their children's names and where their children go to school and who their teachers were, everything. They doxed everybody. Behind the Mirror is grouped together with Behind Enema. It's a group called Behind Enema Lies, all one word, Behind Enema Lies on Twitter. The two of them together. So Behind the Mirror number 1 is engaged to another live streamer. The two of them are both well known. They are both Boogaloo and Antifa ties. And they have done everything they possibly can to really put people in danger. And like I said earlier, they doxed me. They tried to dox me. They tried to dox my family. Well, guess what? Newsflash, I live in Nevada. I don't live in Oregon. So the family that they doxed in Oregon with children, they doxed those children. They doxed their children's school. They doxed the children's teachers. They doxed everything, including the home address. And those people that got doxed had no connection to me. So they put people in danger simply because they don't want anybody else to have an idea other than the one that they have. They don't want anybody out here waving an American flag. They don't want anyone out here standing up and speaking the truth about anything. They want you to go back to work at a job that you might have been paid $25 an hour for in the past, but they want you to go back to that job for minimum wage, and they want you to spend every waking minute you have working at that job, and then going to another job and working that, and another job and working that, never having any time for yourself or your family. They want you to work to death, and they want to take and tax every single penny you have, so that you stay on the bottom and you never have anything. That's what they have been working for. That's even here in the trucking industry, I've seen it. Every new rule and regulation that has come by has been solely to restrict the truck driver down. They're literally trying to restrict a truck driver to a 9-to-5 job that is only minimum wage. That has been their whole goal, and they have been slowly getting there by each new regulation they put on. So, now we've got a kangaroo circus of hearings that is all majorly one-sided. Is there any ability whatsoever for the people of this country to have any kind of representation on the floor inside that hearing? Because right now there is no representation besides the picture that the left wants you to see. And it's a heavily edited picture. Oh, you want to name names? You want me to name names? All right. All right. Does anybody know the name of the person who is behind the mirror? Now keep in mind, behind the mirror number 2 is that person's father. That hearing that is going on right now should be fully impartial. The problem is it's not. It's not even diverse. Okay, they're showing diversity by having people of different races in there, right? but every single one of them is a liberal. Every single one of them is a Democrat. There's no impartiality in that. But see, what's the name of that person that happens to be behind the mirror? Matter of fact, the person that is engaged to behind the mirror that happens to be behind Animal Lies on Twitter, that person is Paul Revere. His YouTube channel is Revere the Bandit. It is my understanding they live in Nevada in a little town called Elko. E-L-K-O, Elko. So, they can't even, I'm telling you, these people, yeah, Jen, what's the name of the person that runs behind enemy lot, or behind the mirror? I don't remember her name. It's a woman. Paul Revere is a boogaloo, and he also has ties to Antifa. Paul Revere also took part in the BLM protests. Paul Revere also was the only person that was ever in any single one spot where a lot of the pictures in the convoy that were used to dox people. Those pictures came solely from Paul Revere's camera. He was the only person that was ever standing in those positions to take those pictures. Nope. Matter of fact, most of us didn't start putting two and two together about that until after the convoy had finished. When the convoy separated up and broke up, that's when we had time to sit back, relax, and actually start thinking, hey, what was this? What was this? Where'd this come from? Every single picture, and I can identify every single picture that was taken of me or my truck from any angle. I can identify, I can remember exactly who was standing where when that picture was taken. And in every one of them, Paul Revere is missing. And in every one of them, it was taken from the exact spot he was standing in. So what does that tell you? No, I do not think X-Ray knows this. I do not think X-Ray knows this, but also it would explain how it is that X-Ray's property was completely demolished and destroyed by Antifa around the same time that him and Paul Revere were going to Colorado to do a class. And that would also explain a lot of the work that Paul Revere put in against X-Ray after that on his videos. Well, Shelley gave X-Ray the pickup. I don't know what happened with Paul Revere. See, the thing is, I don't remember the girl's name that's running behind the mirror, but Jersey J actually caught that person and her dad in their van doing weird crap when he confronted them on the screen of one of the laptops inside their vehicle at the time was the main profile of Behind the Mirror. So Behind the Mirror was being run by those people that Jersey J had caught red-handed, and he saw it. That was the first clue, because, well, that girl happened to be the fiancée of Paul Revere. So, now that you know that, and you know how long Paul Revere was with the convoy, you know what the convoy was up against the entire time. You know where a lot of the bickering between people came from, because it was started by other people in the first place. They embedded themselves in the convoy, not just them, but others, embedded themselves in the convoy with the sole purpose of trying to disrupt and create division amongst people. People that were in it for the right reasons, in it, I mean, a good voice. They were standing up peacefully. See, that's the other thing. Because of the fact that they have ties to both BLM, Antifa, and the Boogaloo Boys, or whatever they are, they literally cannot stand that anybody can go out there and have a peaceful protest without violence, without burning things down, without breaking things. So they had to try any way they could to destroy it, because the mainstream norm has become they can do anything they want physically, and they can do anything they want in a protest. That's the way they want this country to think, that a peaceful protest means that there's buildings burning down and people being hurt. No. A peaceful protest is exactly what the People's Convoy showed the country and the world. It's also what the Canadians, the Freedom Convoy up in Canada, it's exactly what they showed the world, what a peaceful protest is. There were no buildings burning in the background. And guess what? This all ties in together too. Especially if you go, here's the biggest proof. You go and look at BLM. And then you go to their webpage. And then you go say, okay, I want to donate some money to the BLM. Okay. Well, when you do that, it takes you to a site called Act Blue. And every penny that gets donated through Act Blue goes straight to the DNC. Every single Democratic candidate gets that money. Nobody else does. Not one penny goes to the BLM. It's the same thing for Antifa. It's the same thing for the Boogaloo. They are solely funded by the left. You know, I support black people. I do. I have a lot of friends that are. Matter of fact, my very first girlfriend in this life was a black girl. But guess what? Black lives do matter. And so does everybody else's. All lives matter. Black Lives Matter would have been a great thing had they actually had anything to do with black lives in the first place. They don't. And even a large majority of the black community now sees it too. Especially when they can go to Black Lives Matter website and look at the donate. Where does the money go? It goes to Act Blue, and from Act Blue it goes right to the DNC. You can see it for yourself. So those people that are all on the bench in this hearing for the J6 right now, every one of them got funding out of Act Blue. Hey, Jesse. Most likely a large amount there, Violet. Most likely a large amount. So, this whole circus at the J6, all extremely one-sided. Absolutely no representation of any kind other than what the left wants people to see. All the videos they're displaying are extremely edited. And every witness that they've brought in so far that I can tell, I don't remember seeing any of them in any of the videos. For one. For two, none of them ever made a news report. Especially this one that supposedly hit their head and got brain damage. Well, wait a minute. I have a family member who got brain damage years back. That person can't remember a single thing from the moment she woke up out of her coma. So, think about it. How reliable of a testimony can somebody with brain damage give? Considering you may not remember anything from it when you wake up, but then people start talking to you about it, and those things that they're telling you start to become memory. Because you're struggling to remember. You're struggling to rebuild on what was lost. So now the things that are told to you and the things that you talk about that happened supposedly during the time that you got this supposed brain injury, the likelihood of any of that being true is like 1%. 99% false, guaranteed. You cannot base anything off of the testimony of somebody with brain injury. It shouldn't even be legal. Yeah, one of the Capitol Police supposedly was pushed down some stairs, supposedly, hit her head on a step, and was unconscious and woke up from that with a brain injury. A pretty severe brain injury from what I understand. But there was no video footage anywhere that caught her being pushed or falling on the stairs. There was no video footage of her laying there unconscious. There was no video footage of any of that. Matter of fact, it didn't even make the news. Just like, you know, they shot and killed Ashley Babbitt. That made the news. There was also another lady, a regular citizen, not a police officer, that had to be resuscitated and put in an ambulance and hauled to the hospital. That was on the news for a little bit, but there were no real details. And then, for some reason, it turned out later on down the road that Ashley Babbitt was the only real casualty. Ashley Babbitt was the only one injured. Wait a minute. I saw that day on live feeds all over the place that day while this was going on. And yet, here we are with this massively edited, painted picture in a kangaroo circus that's all stacked on one side only. What do you think? What do you people think? And what do you think we can do to fix it? Is there a way that we can get representation for the people of this country on the floor of that committee hearing? people, keep in mind, when I talked about behind enema lies and behind the mirror and who they really are, those are just my conclusions from all the evidence that I have had in front of me. But I'm sure if you go and take a deep look into everything that went on, especially look at all the different live videos and look at all the different tweets and everything else that came out of both Behind the Mirror and Behind Enema Lies on Twitter. Behind the Mirror is right here on YouTube. If you go and take a look at those and do the math, I'm sure you're going to come up to the same conclusion that I did on the same people. Just saying. And they're part of the problem. People like that are part of the problem. Screenshot of the Capitol officer. Well, I'm relatively new to this live streaming thing. I am not sure how to get a screenshot of that person. But any one of my mods can probably figure out a website that has a picture of that person and a story of their little testimony in the hearings here the other day, and drop a link in here for you to go and look at. Yeah, see, and that never made news, Rosie Rowe. A woman in the tunnel got trampled and died. That never made the news at all. But it was on live feed the day that it happened. That's how we know it happened. So Rosie Rowe, if you can find a web address or a link to an article written about that brain-damaged officer giving testimony on the committee floor here for the January 6th hearings, go ahead and pop that up here go ahead and put that in here for people to go and look at. You know what? What would happen if every single person in this country got up and went to every one of those YouTube video feeds? The New York Times and Time Magazine and MSNBC and CNN and C-SPAN and all of them that on their coverage of this January 6th committee. What would happen if everybody went in and hit the thumbs down on every single one of their videos? I'm serious. What would happen? What would happen if they got far more dislikes than likes on their videos? What would YouTube do with their videos? Would they get any more play? That is true. There were videos of that there, Jesse. There were also videos of plenty of officers opening the doors and letting them in, waving them in. Those doors cannot be opened from the outside. They also every one of those doors has like 3-inch thick steel on the inside of the wood. They're solid steel from top to bottom and side to side. They are also magnetically locked when they are shut unless opened from the inside with extremely powerful magnets and bolts. Big ass bolts too. So the only way those doors are opening is from the inside. The videos that have been shown inside that committee are so heavily edited, it's not funny. Not to mention every single camera on the inside followed one particular person in each different group that was in there. They had singled out exactly who was coming in the building, and who they were looking at the entire time to follow the action, right? How is it that they were set up and ready for that? How is it that they knew exactly who they were going to follow? Think about it. Rosie, find a link for the Marjorie Taylor Greene interview and drop the link in here. Copy the link and paste it right here. That's good, BMCT, that's good. I don't discourage anybody from watching any of them. Go ahead and watch them. Watch them all. You can get a feel for what's really going on, even not just politically and throughout the country, but you can get a feel of what's going on between all the people that are trying to fight on the same side. The division and distrust that was put into everybody by the people that came in solely to create that division is still at play. And yes, some of those people stood on the wrong side to begin with come the end. Not only did they stand on the wrong side, but during the whole thing, they were like three different people. It's like they were split personality. I mean, one guy is, while they're out on the road, you know, they're preach, but the second they get into the DC area, they're all about, you know, mechanicking or being security or, you know, whatever, and don't ever really take the time to stand up. But then once they get down to where there's so few people left, and they start becoming a preach person again, you know, or on their live streams, on their live streams, they're preach about this, but then they never once go around the beltway in their truck. They stay parked in the camp zone instead, you know, or they never once go down into Sacramento except the first day. They stay sitting at the Speedway all day long. Or they never once go down around any of the places, you know. There were so many people that were doing that, and they're sitting there on their live streams preaching all day long about these things that need to happen, or the things that are happening, but then they're not actually partaking in those things. They're not actually being part of the change. They're sitting behind a camera preaching about it all day instead. Being safe, afraid they'll get impounded, afraid they'll go to jail. Never once did I sit back. Never once. I saw what was going on the entire time. Just like I see what's going on right now with these J6 hearings. Thing is, you can sit there and watch their feeds, watch their videos, and then watch my videos, and then watch other people's videos, so that you can sit there and make a good picture for yourself of what you see. You know, you can get a good picture to make your own decision on what's going on and where to go and where to support. Yup. I see what you said there, Shannon. Right. Some just want the attention. Some just want to be in control. Some just want to be seen as the leadership and the driving force behind something. No matter how much they try, they never get there, but they still try and try and try. And then they go bat crazy on their live stream about how somebody else was picked and I was not. The thing is, you know, real leadership can see somebody that is trying to assert themselves into something that they really have no business being in. They can see that, and that's why those things never happen for that person. And it wasn't just one person that was in that kind of situation. There were several. There were several. And you know every one of them. You all do. Yeah, Shannon, kind of like that. The biggest problem is that we are sitting here and allowing, as the people, we are the ones that have the power, right? The Constitution even paints it out that we are the ones that have the power, because the Constitution was built to protect us from our government, not to protect our government from us. Okay? So we're sitting here as a people of this country. What is there, like 700 billion of us? Or 500 billion of us? I don't remember. Something like that. If even half of us... No. If even half of us stood up and actually took a week off of work and everything else and decided to show up as planned all together as one in Washington, D.C., what would that say? No, it's not 350 million people in this country. We have billion. We're in the billions. We're not in the millions. Right, Mobo, right. Everybody needs to put their egos away. Put your egos away, put your assumptions away, put everything away that tells you you might not, that you don't like that guy that's standing next to you. Because guess what? In the military, you may have a gay person, or a black person, or a Mexican person, or a Jewish person, or a Catholic person, or a pagan person standing next to you on the same front line, and you both still do the job together. You don't have to like that person, but you do have to cooperate with them to get from point A to point B. And that is what we as a people in this country need to do. We need to put all of that crap aside. It does not matter what that person believes in or what that person is that is standing next to you. They are still a human being, and they still believe in the same end goal that you do, and they are still fighting to get to that same end goal. So there is absolutely no reason for anybody to discard them away because they don't because they don't believe the same, or they don't act the same, or they don't look the same, or they don't speak the same. They are in it for the same fight. There is no reason to exclude them, period. Every single person on this planet shares human DNA, regardless of where they came from, and regardless of what they deem themselves to be. Every single person on this planet bleeds regular human red blood when they are cut. Every single one. If that person standing next to you that you do not like may have to save your life, or you may have to save theirs. Either way, we are all human. We are all brothers and sisters, no matter where we come from, or our backgrounds, or what we believe in. We're all fighting for the same goal. We are all fighting for the same goal. And that is the only point that the people need to understand. I don't care if you're super Bible thumper religious. I don't care if you're pagan. You're standing on the line next to me for the same cause. You are my brother or my sister. And that is what we as a people need to do. Regardless of all beliefs, under the same goal. Because these people that are in control and trying to paint the narrative and paint the whole picture, and this entire thing that they are doing right now solely for the purpose of political assassination of a presidential opponent. This is wrong. And what they are doing is a treasonous crime. So what do? How do we get in there? How do we help these people that were arrested on January 6th? How do we help show what really happened instead of all of this hocus pocus, magically edited and completely one-sided testimonies and everything else that they're coming up with? And oh, the other thing I would love to know, how in the world did they flip A.G. Barr? A nice big chef salad. So, Gail, you made rabbit food. I'll eat the meat. You can keep the You can keep the leaves. I'm kidding. Enjoy your salad. No, Karma, I would never disrespect anybody at a funeral. I would never disrespect anybody at a funeral. That is not what I sound like. You might be onto something there, Shelly. Just don't watch the stuff, right? Problem is, if we don't watch the stuff, they turn around and do horrible things because they know nobody's watching. Yeah. But Thomas, explain to me, take the time to think about it, but explain to me, Thomas, how would we achieve that? Who in the world are you going to get to stand up to go against them now that you're seeing what they're doing to the people that were there on January 6th who went in without any arms whatsoever? You know, Karma, I would love to see you take a trip to Portland, Oregon. Go ahead and go to Portland, Oregon and see who's not saying Black Lives Matter and only Black Lives Matter. Go ahead. Same thing in downtown Seattle. Go to any one of those and spend a week there, walking around in the downtown areas, or anywhere in those cities for that matter. Go ahead. I dare you. So do I, Karma. So do I. I know it very, very well. Rosie Rowe, you got me on Telegram. Share that link to just take and share it to my Telegram. I'll put it up. Then try to share it to my Telegram, or try to share it to my regular text. I know. You don't know too much about the new ways technology works these days. Or just give me the title of the video. What's the title of the video link that you're trying to talk about? Because I'm sure any one of my other mods in here can bring it up if they've got the title. You may not be afraid of DC, Karma, but you need to remember 10 square miles of Washington, D.C. is foreign soil. It does not belong to the United States. That's why the U.S. government sits upon it. Because the U.S. government itself cannot actually be a part of the country. It has to be independent of any one state. Which is also why Washington, D.C. can never become a state of its own. All right, let me go check that out. Are we still here? Okay, so